Welcome to No Room for Phonies, episode 64.
To list or not to list?
That is the question.
Not really.
Well, it is for you. It isn't for me. I already know what I do. Anyway, the green light moment for me has just been watching our kids launch really well. I mean,
Yep.
Zachary's been launched for a while. And to realize that stepping back or stepping out of things is very freeing as a parent.
Yes,
Like just
not
stepping
meddling.
back, not meddling. And I've learned this actually about with other people in my life, right? Too, where you're giving advice or you're trying to help and you just keep trying and trying and trying. And then it's frustrating and you almost get angry with them because they're not doing what you think they should do.
Yeah.
And then if you step out and you just do the best you can for them and honor them and help them,
It's a lot easier.
It's just so freeing. So that's my green light moment. You help when you're, if someone's in a crisis,
Well, and if they ask for advice, you can give it without the
but you have
expectation.
to, then you step out of it.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's a lot more freeing. And I think it's better for the connection and the relationship
think so.
overall too. So anyway, my recommended book is just it went from spring to summer in one day around here.
Yeah.
Went from 18 to 26, 28. It's been really hot this week. So it's made me think about summer and summer reads. And I really recommend looking at Lucy Foley. She's a British author of contemporary historical fiction and mystery novels. And they're
Okay.
very good. They actually are fun to listen to on Audible. I listened to The Paris Apartment, The Guest List on
On Audible? Oh, good. So that means I can listen to
yeah,
it.
The Hunting Party, and The Last Letter from Istanbul, The Invitation, and The Book of Lost and Found. I have not yet listened to.
But you have them on your list.
I have them on my list, but I couldn't find them on Audible, so I'm not
They
sure.
just might not never have been recorded.
Yeah, so
it's
I
back to reading.
might have to read them. So
See,
I
well,
want
we can
to.
check if the
I
library
actually
has.
want to. Oh, I should go to the library.
Well, we can also do an e-lending if you want. Ebook.
Yeah, but no, I could actually go to the library. That'd be
Either
fun.
one.
Yeah, no, that'd be fun. Okay, and my recommended podcast, just because I've really been focused in on self-awareness and how important that is to you as a person, to know yourself and to whatever. And so there's a great podcast in first person plural, self-awareness, an honest look in the mirror.
So the podcast is called First Person Plural and the episode
It's called Self-Awareness, an honest look in the mirror. So
Yeah, okay.
I just recommend that one.
Looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
In real life, metaphorically is fine. In real life, not so great.
Yeah. Why?
Just my hair.
Oh, okay. All right. So if you're watching this, he's not happy with his hair today. So there we go. All right. To list or not to list. So I'm going to start because I am the list person. And then you can go back at why it doesn't work for you. Sometimes, most of the times, all the time, pretty much. So lists bring order to chaos, and lists for me help me organize when I'm feeling overwhelmed.
And lists overwhelm me.
Yes, so there you go.
But
Lists,
we will discuss why they do.
yes.
We'll get
so
to that.
lists also help me remember things. When I think of
Which
something.
is important these days for me because I seem to be forgetting more.
Yeah. So if I'm going shopping or on a vacation, Christmas presents, I just write everything down.
Yeah, well,
because-
and I have always made packing lists.
Yes, we always have made packing lists. But
That's been a
when I
struggle.
do something for Easter or Mother's Day, I make a list of all the
Yeah, I know
people
that.
long ways ahead. And most lists are finite. They don't usually go on. And if they do, you can just skip to the bottom of the list.
What do you mean there?
They're finite. There are 10 things that you need or
mine
3
are-
things.
Mine just keep growing.
Yeah.
Then that's
That's the problem. Lists can be meaningful. The Steven Spielberg classic Schindler's List is based on the German businessman who used a list of names to save more than 1,000 Jews from the concentration camp.
Right.
So, there's those kinds of lists as well. I just thought that was interesting.
Well, and just the genealogical stuff that
Yeah.
Zachary's done. And
Yeah. And lists can be long or as short as necessary. And there's a New Zealand opera singer maintains a list keeping site called the List Universe. And recent posts include 20 great quotes from Ronald Reagan and top 10 codes you aren't meant to know. And then this guy just says a list should be, his name is Frater, and he says a list should be as long as is necessary. Some lists need to be only a few lines an item, and others paragraphs. So he's
that's interesting.
Like the top 10s and all those things.
Basically listicles.
Listicles, yes.
So he had a list of listicles.
Making lists can help you become famous.
Not my goal in life.
Notable list makers include Thomas Jefferson, Peter Mark Roget, Martha Stewart, and Benjamin Franklin.
Okay.
A methodical, why couldn't I say that word? And wry man, wrote Franklin biographer Walter Isaacson in Time magazine. Franklin loved making lists. He and I would get along well. He made lists of rules for his tradesman's club, of synonyms for being drunk, of maxims for matrimonial happiness, and of reasons to choose an older woman as a mistress.
Oh my God.
Most famously, as a young man, he made a list of personal virtues that he determined should define his life.
So he made a list of personal virtues, but he also made a list of why it was good to have a cougar.
Whatever. The word list can be tracked back to William Shakespeare according to the Oxford English Dictionary. In Hamlet, the bard refers to a list of landless resolutes.
I wonder what
I don't know what that means.
I'm not a Shakespeare expert.
Lists relieve stress and focus the mind.
Well,
List sociologist Scott Schaefer told the Oregonian newspaper really get to the heart of what it is we need to do to get through another day on this planet. I don't look at life that way. Sometimes I just want
to breathe.
Yeah, I know.
And relax.
Lists can also force people to say revealing things. In his 25 random things roster, former California Governor Jerry Brown reveals that his favorite cereal is Flax plus multi-bran.
Okay.
Lists can keep us from procrastinating. We put this one off until the end. Making a list enables us to get our heads around really big tasks.
Yes.
And helps us tackle the work one aspect at a time. So if you break things down, like I used to do for kids, like when I was teaching, I would say, okay, you have to write this whole paragraph, but the first thing you have to do is this and then this.
Yes,
and then
the reverse schedule.
Reverse timeline.
Right, reverse timeline.
But a list is only useful if it reveals the truth, solves a problem, or leads to action. Making a list, for instance, does not necessarily help procrastinators.
No, it does not.
As DePaul University psychologist Joseph Ferrari told Psychology Today in 2008, people don't put off work they must do because they lack list-making skills. And in turn, making a list does not get the job done.
In fact, some people use list-making as a tool to procrastinate.
Mm-hmm. Not me. I like highlighting.
Yeah, well, I don't use it to procrastinate. I don't need to use anything to procrastinate.
No, you don't. How do you make lists work? How do you do it? What are some things you can do to actually make a list work?
Okay, so,
choose the right app or paper or what suits you.
Some people prefer it on apps.
I like paper.
I prefer paper. I've tried the apps and the notifications, and it just drives me crazy because it's like, no, I haven't done those 8 things. Bleep, turn off the notification. And an hour later, no, I haven't done those 8 things. So they're just annoying.
And then they suggest making more different lists for different aspects of your life. So I just have 2. I have my daily list, and then I have my monthly thing that I keep track of the bigger picture things. And then sometimes within my monthly list, I have a list of like gifts I need to buy or certain things I want to do, right? So
I'm sorry, I just thought I better turn this off.
So, but they say like work, home, like different
life. Well, and then you can have
separate out your list.
The big picture life goals versus the yearly. Well, it's interesting. Like when I'm at work, I have no problem with lists. And in fact, putting together that action plan that we're working on in the department is totally comfortable and it makes sense.
But it's all but they're separating work from. Write down tasks as soon as you think of them. I do that.
Yes, I'm starting to.
And you should assign due dates to things. Like I need to do these.
Probably what I should.
I kind of do that.
Yeah.
Revise my to-do list daily.
Yes.
Like I shove things forward. Like the other day I was tired.
And I know it takes you 5 minutes to do that. To me, it feels like it's always half an hour, and so that's a waste of 30
Well,
minutes.
I don't think about it that long. Sometimes you overthink things.
Well, the other thing is, once it's a habit, it does get faster.
Yes. But like, for example, on Monday, I had been away all day long and I got home. And one of the things I do chores, household chores by the day. Like on Monday, I clean the appliances and usually water plants, but we're off that schedule.
No, it's been Wednesdays for a long time now.
It has been. I've actually shifted it.
Okay.
But anyway, I was too tired, so I just shifted that task to Tuesday, which makes no difference. Mm-hmm. So that's the kind of thing. Limit your tasks to 3 to 5 major tasks per day. And I do. Like household chores.
Oh, major tasks, yeah.
Right.
Your
like,
list is often 20 items long.
But it's more things like, okay, I want to remember to send this card to this person or write this letter, or I'm working on pillows, or I want to crochet on these 3 things. Reading and walking and exercise are always on my list, but they're not, I don't consider them, well, exercise feels like a major task some days. Put tasks on your to-do list, not goals. So that's a separate thing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That was a new tip that I hadn't thought of
Like it's
before.
a task. Like write this letter.
It's an actionable thing. It's a doable thing.
Yeah. And it's not like, okay, by the end of the month,
10 pounds
I'm going to paint this room.
Yeah, no.
Today I'm going to sand it or pull the wallpaper off or do this or do that, right? Keep goals and objectives separate, like they say. And look at your to-do list often, which I do all day long, and make your to-do list scannable. Well, for example, if I have
Is that like, so you can take a picture of it with your phone and take it with you? Oh, okay.
Like when I write a grocery list, sometimes I take the actual list and sometimes I just take my phone with a picture of it on. So 10 tips for making lists. Write down every single idea you have, no matter how big or small. Always carry a notebook and you have your phone. Like now, find a list method that works. Doodles, bullet points, charts. I can't imagine drawing a chart.
A flow chart,
flow, I guess.
And for prioritizing things, putting it in a grid, like the urgent versus important.
Yes.
Like that,
That but to me, that's more long term. But
it would help me every day, I think, if I started doing that. I do like the bullet journal, the bullet point, like the actual bullet
I number
journal.
Mine, so I don't know what that.
But the bullet journal has a little symbols code for how to postpone. Thing was done, it wasn't done. Things were added to it. You just have these little codes.
Yeah.
I like it.
I don't like that. That's too complicated. Number 1, do this. Number 2, do this. Number 3, do this.
4.
And I like to highlight a completed task. And that's why I like some small manageable things on my list. So I can just check them off, and it makes me feel. And your goal should be like measurable so that you know that it's working all the time.
Well, that checking off is actually causing endorphins or dopamine.
It does.
One of the two.
It says that. Set far off outlandish goals too. Like, where do you want to be 10 years from now, 5 years?
Yeah, but that's a goal list. That's not
but it's different. It's still a list.
Yeah.
And like they talk about, share your goals with others. So you can I lay my list of tasks out every day so that I can share it with you.
Yes.
So that if you see something,
for some magical reason, it's always been, well, didn't you read my list?
Yes. And celebrate
your list.
Celebrate your successes and then make new lists.
Yeah.
Right?
It's all good.
Okay, scientific reasons why lists are bad for you, which is what you can't wait to talk about.
I think there's not very many, unfortunately.
You switch from to-do lists to get done and make sure that what is on your list really reflects your values and principles. You're not just doing random things.
Okay, so what's bad about that? So a getting done
to-do list is kind of like, I have to do, but these are the things I have to get done. It's just semantics to me. Many of the actions on our to-do lists don't actually correspond to
our main values.
Our values in life. We're just trying to. But there are tasks you have to do.
Yes, there's just the daily live. And the thing is, if you don't remember to do them, they pile up and then they interfere with your life.
And you have to learn to focus on what you've done rather than what you haven't done, because that's stressful and demoralizing.
That's my issue.
Yeah. So giving yourself a gold star for what you've accomplished then you take the mental space to unwind, and
I get to go to Staples and buy star stickers.
Yeah, star stickers for you. And then remembering that the big wins are great, but they're relatively rare.
Yeah.
The smaller wins are what you have to kind of go for. Mm-hmm. And I mean, to me, if I was you, but I'm not you, I would write like down 3 things every day that I really wanted to get done. And then I would build up.
Yeah.
So I wasn't.
Well, for me, it goes to building a positive habit around it.
Well, it's exactly what it says next.
Rather than, but the other stuff that we've read about habits, you can't get rid of bad habits. You have to build new ones.
Yes, exactly. So regularly writing down and checking off your accomplishment is like a self-reinforcing circle, because it helps you visualize and appreciate that you can do it.
Yeah.
But if you start with 10 and you've never done a list before, then you're never going to, some days I don't but I don't care anymore.
Yeah, well, for me, I've started often with a list of 20
sometimes
things.
I'll say, I was going to crochet that sweater today. I didn't get to it. Okay, well, I'll write it down.
I've had this list with 10 items like for 3 weeks.
Yeah, but see, that doesn't help me.
I know, but it's things like you have on it.
I know, but mine's by day.
Well, I have check old hard drives, so that's an hour task, but when I put it down, I set it down, look at it every day. I don't have an hour to do that today. I don't have an hour to do that.
You do now. You're on holidays.
Yeah, well, but whatever. Like,
no, I know.
I keep these lists and I'm like, no. And then I look at your list. Oh, no, I have to do those things.
No, you don't. Oh, so ridiculous. I put some of the things that I want you to do on my list because you don't have a list. Like open the pool. I put that on my list so that I could say, okay, we need to get this done.
Let's done. Go. Oh, no, diving board.
So sometimes to-do lists get you fixated on something that's just happening in one little piece of your life, and so that it crowds out the rest.
That's a negative.
So with a get done list, simply widening the focus helps you feel more balanced.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't want the audience to think that you get locked into your list, because I don't. Like, you're passionate about them and whatever, but
I don't.
You get to the end of the day, you haven't finished things.
I just cross them out.
You just cross them. Like, very rarely do you ever
stay up till midnight
feel upset that you haven't accomplished it, or
no. And when I was working,
you can move. And I know that sometimes you don't want to have given up a list item, but you do.
Yeah. It's just because life happens, right? Mm-hmm. Or I think, I'm going to get all this stuff done today, and then I go out and do something.
Like, I have these things that, I pass it on the next episode. And then 3 months later, I still have the same items on the list. And then I get really frustrated. Why did I bother writing them down?
That's why I think you should start with 3 things.
Yeah, if I get 3 things, some of these things will never get done, because there's other 3 things that are always more important or always more urgent.
No, I'm talking about... Like, on my list, there's my happy things, like my crocheting and all that stuff. Then there's my 3 things that are, like, not so happy, like...
The ones you don't really want to do, but have to do.
Well, they're chores.
Yeah.
Like, cleaning the appliances, like, doing the laundry, like, planning meals.
Yeah.
So I don't put 10 of those things on my list.
No.
Usually on my list, there's 2 of those kinds of things. The most 3.
Mm-hmm.
Like today I want to pull dandelions and stuff out of the front. Well, that's pretty much all I have on my list that's really like chore work.
Right.
The rest of it is all knitting, crocheting, walking, working out, which I'm trying to think of as more as a pleasure than a chore.
Yeah.
So why aren't your lists working?
I think these are some
the
really
mix
good
your lists is a big problem. And we've talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
If you need to pick up a new toothbrush and want to write a book, they don't belong on the same list. So there's a home to-do list, a work to-do list, and a bucket list. So I think that's, and you misplace your lists.
I don't. They're always...
No, I don't misplace my list either.
But that was my problem when I was trying to put it on little slips of paper.
Yeah, no. Making a to-do list where you have never-ending lists is problem number 3. Making a to-do list where you prioritize each item and determine which, like, this is what I'm trying to say, like 3 little things or 2 little things or 1 little thing.
Yeah.
And then all your other things, once you get those done, because I often focus on the thing That is the priority.
Well, and also let's get the most unpleasant.
Okay, so for example,
some of it is get the most unpleasant thing out of the way first.
Well, and the other thing is like, I can't just stop everything and do laundry. But when I first get up in the morning, if it's a laundry day, I get laundry going.
Yeah.
And then I do other things.
Yeah.
So having a smaller list will set you up for small wins that boost your confidence. So that's the same items keep popping out. Outsource them or get rid of them. Not outsourcing to me.
No, I get out. They get outsourced to me.
Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should.
Right.
Right. So, I mean.
Well, but that's for work. Like,
yeah.
At home, there's no really outsourcing. Well, and you do Who are we going to outsource things
And there
to?
have been things.
I'm not going to get somebody to come and do my back up my old laptop hard drive.
I know, but there are certain things. Like, for example, if we decided we were going to paint the house.
Right.
We would go, okay, that's stupid.
Yeah, it's just
because that would take us hours and hours and hours. We're not even that good at it. And, well,
yes, we are.
Whatever.
Speak for yourself.
We can do it. And I have had things that I've had on my list and I've crossed them out forever.
Yeah.
I've just said, you know what? I'm not doing that.
Right.
Boom, gone.
Okay.
Problem number 5 is your lists make you anxious.
Yep.
Rewrite your list. Chances are the disorder of your list is making you feel flustered, or the length. Organize your list 1 day at a time or 1 hour at a time. Try a few different types of lists. When I worked, I had a day book that had the times down.
I know.
And I literally assigned times to things. Mm-hmm. And then if it didn't
But then I didn't understand how you did that because you would always be interrupted by problems.
Yeah, and then I'd move
it's like,
things.
I know, but then it's like, that's 2:30. I should have done that. It didn't get done.
So then I move it to the next day at 2:30.
And then it still doesn't get done.
Not necessarily. A lot of times it did. But the one thing that I kept on my list was classroom visits, right?
Yeah.
So that I didn't get caught up. Sometimes I would just say to somebody, look at, I need to go and walk through this classroom. Mm-hmm. I've got that on my book, and it's important.
Right.
So it does help you prioritize things, because sometimes you can just sit and shoot the breeze with somebody in your office because they just want to talk, and then you can say, oh, sorry, I gotta go do this. So the important thing is to give it a try in a new way for at least 5 days, and then if you don't like that system, you can drop it again. But if you don't try it for 5 days, then you're not trying.
Alrighty.
At least 5. I would say 10.
So now the audience is going to be like checking in.
I don't think so. So anyway, anything else you want to say about lists?
I'll give it a try again.
I just say sometimes when you think too far ahead or whatever, you get overwhelmed by them. And like I say, too many tasks on one day. Well,
I think one thing that like people have admired about you is like that you can multitask and that you get so much done in a day. And I don't think you multitask. I think it's because you have your list.
Yeah, I do. Because I don't multitask. I go do something.
You go do it.
And then I stop. And I mean, there are certain things, right? Like I might go out and work in the garden for an hour and then I'm tired. So I come jump in the pool and read for an hour. Mm-hmm. But I would go back and work at that again until maybe it's not the same day. Maybe I say, okay, I got this much done in the garden today. Well, tomorrow I'm going to put it back on my list and go for another half hour, 45 minutes and do more. Mm-hmm. But I don't lose track of things, which just happens when you don't make a list.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is the willingness to break lists or to break time frames down into smaller chunks. Because for me, certain things, I would love to have a 3-hour block to do it. And I mean,
sometimes
I have been reading about like the creative mind. Sometimes you do need a 3 to 5 hour uninterrupted
and you
block.
Schedule that in.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Like you say, so tomorrow I'm going to spend 3 hours doing this.
Yeah.
But we get up fairly early in the day. So like we're usually having coffee by 7:30, 8 o'clock, right? Mm-hmm. So,
well, and I wake up quite a bit earlier, so I have been starting to do things, just.
And even if I just wake up or I can't sleep, I read, and then I'm not wasting time on stuff. So anyway, those are to list or not to list. I think to list wins.
I think we knew that going in.
So anyway, that's it for No Room for Phonies. To list or not to list? That is the question. The answer is to list. Anyway, our next podcast, you lost. May 30th is how much time do you spend outside? We really want to talk about
like outdoors,
yes. What you do, how you, because one of the things I noticed during the pandemic was you saw a lot more people walking and being. Yeah. Now that the pandemic is over,
the walkways are empty again.
Everything's empty again. So it's just interesting to see that. So I want to talk about the psychology of being outside and what's important about it and what we do and all that sort of thing. So that's it.
Good.
So thanks for listening. No Room for Phonies. To list or not to list?
That is no longer the question.
That is no longer the question.
Bye-bye.